Hello, and welcome to the first ever Q&A podcast slash video for moving images. If you guys didn't know, I posted in my YouTube community page and my other social media pages that I'll be taking in some questions from you guys for which I'll try to answer. And you guys asked your question on Twitter with the hashtag AskMI. So I'm going to try and answer them. So yeah. The first question comes from Madhusudan with the handle at Madhusudan Billy. To watch film at theater, you go with diary to make some points. Actually, Madhusudan, no. When I watch a movie, I try to take it in as a whole experience. I don't think about it. I don't analyze it. It's when I watch a movie, I just watch a movie. And it's only when certain movies, they kind of stay in your mind after you watch them, and you just keep thinking about it. And if you find something that, questions you, it sort of bothers you, makes you find answers. That's when I start analyzing that movie, picking it apart, and making a video essay out of it. And also, have you ever tried writing on a diary inside a dark movie theater? It's not fun. So moving on to the next question is from Gokul BK with the handle at GokulBK90. Hi Kishore, I'm following you quite a long time. The quality has improved in your making, but I felt you can touch more topics in Tamil movies because your explanations are so clear and keen. What makes you to limit yourself, Kishore? Well, to be frank, the most important thing or the most high priority thing for me when I make a video essay is to make sure that the presentation is really good. And for that, I need good prints of the films I'm trying to analyze. There are tons of movies that I want to talk about, older ones especially, like from K. Balachandar or Balu Mahindra. But those movies, they haven't been, I would say, made into good films. They haven't been. I'm searching for the word. They haven't been restored or well, and even if the ones that they have huge logos and watermarks and whatnot, it just spoils the experience for me. So that is an important factor. The other would be if I do a particular video essay on one topic and if I do it on one film, there are countless other films that concept actually fits into. But then again, it would be just me repeating the same concept for each of those films, even though those are good films on their own. If I don't feel that I don't have anything to add to it, which I've already talked about in a different film, then I try to stay away from that. So I would say those are the two important factors that actually stops me or limits me from doing a lot of topics. But having said that, I still have a huge list of topics I want to talk about, so don't expect my videos to stop coming anytime soon. Common Man at commonman M91601519, I'm guessing it's his phone number or something, has asked, hi buddy, I just have a doubt whether the success of a movie is based on its story or the actors who act in it. Well, an actor or a director or a particular technician can only take it so far as to make the audience come to the theater, come and sit there and, pay for the ticket and come sit there and watch the movie. But I guess after that, the success of a movie is based on how good it is. It might be the story, the screenplay, or the technical aspects of it, but an actor or a technician can only make an audience come till the theater, make them sit in that seat. But once the projection is on, I guess it's on the movie or the film itself to make a deeper connection with the audience, make them feel that they had a fulfilling experience and thereby leading to its success. Vigneshwaran, the handle at Vignesh24, has asked, "Hi Kishore, your works are great. I've seen most of your videos and always wonder how you decide that I have to make video essay on this particular topic for this movie, like How to Write God for Thondi Mudalum Trisakshim and Decay of Lying for Aruvi." So it kind of goes both ways. Sometimes the topics makes me decide on a movie, and sometimes the movie makes me decide on a topic. I hope I'm not confusing you. But so to elaborate, say for example, my Sudukavam video. That video was actually, the whole story clock idea was actually made for Unbasivam. I watched the film, I did the whole story clock for Unbasivam, but I felt that it didn't fall into place. I mean, it didn't fit well into what I was trying to talk there. So I was searching for other films, and coincidentally, I had this, I wanted to talk about the Chekhov's gun within that video. And I was just randomly shooting ideas with a friend, and I was like, hey, Sudhakam had this whole gun joke at the end, so why can't we try Sudhakam for this video? So I went ahead, did the story clock, and you can call it luck, you can call it coincidence, you can call it whatever. So it actually fit. The idea I wanted to make, it fit well for Sudhakam. There was a lot of setup and payoff, and more than Unbasivam. And so, but I still had this whole idea for Unbasivam, which actually turned into How to Write God for Thondi Mudalum. Actually, How to Write God. It was for Unbasivam, and then I was also watching Thondi Mudalum, and then it kind of fell into place. So, whereas for Decay of Lying for Aruvi, I think the whole idea and the whole title came from Aruvi. When I watched it, I realized that it had this thing going on where it's sort of more than the film itself, it was the reaction of the audience on how they received Aruvi, how different people saw it differently, and that made me think about how art is being perceived, and thereby I went ahead, did a lot of searching, found the essay Decay of Lying, and I thought this would fit well for this topic, and that's where the title came from. So there is no set template. Sometimes it goes one way, sometimes the other. Alvin Madalai at with the handle at John Alvin has asked me, what type of screenplay is Jigar Tanda? That's an interesting question. So to answer your question, and there's also something I want to add to it. So Jigar Tanda is your basic hero's journey. If you haven't watched my video on Basha, I talk about the hero's journey, or the 8-point arc storyline. So it follows the hero where he has a status quo or normal life, where in this case our hero was a struggling director, and then there is an inciting incident whereas here he's asked by a producer to come up with a gangster story. And then it follows through all the beats of the hero's journey. So you have seen this countless times in Harry Potter, in Lord of the Rings. It's a very common type of screenplay. And surprisingly, Jigar Tanda, though many people might or might not realize it, it's actually a hero's journey kind of screenplay. The other thing I wanted to add to it is that I was watching this interview by Bosky with Chitralaya Gopu. If you don't know who he is the one who wrote Kadalike Neramillai, Kasedan, Kadolada, all those classics. And Gopu sir was actually talking about one of his short stories that he wrote for Kumudam, I think, which was called Thuratigiran Duraikanna. And he was the story goes like this. There is a writer, and he's contacted by this local goon, Dorekanu, and Dorekanu wanted to act in a film. And though the writer was reluctant at first, he receives some favors from the goon, like how goons are influential in a particular area. And then so he gets him the role. But with a twist of fate, the part where he acted gets cut in the editing room, and thereby the writer gets scared for his life. So he absconds with his wife, and then he comes back later, and then there is the surprising twist where Dorekanu decides at the end that he's going to direct his own movies, direct and star in his own movies. So from it, you can already see that it almost follows the basic plot point of Jigar Thanda. So that is something I've been trying to, this is just out of curiosity, but that is something I've been trying to find out. I even tweeted out to Karthik Subbaraj asking if he has ever read Thuruthigaran Dorekanu. Was it an influence? If so, why hasn't he given credit? So it's all... I'm not throwing any allegation yet, but I'm just saying there is this story that was written by this famous and really awesome writer long ago. So if you liked Jigar Thanda, I would urge you to go find the book. I heard that it's being published by Kumudam Publications, so go find that book and read it. I'm actually asking a friend of mine to get the book for me too, and if you have any leads, let me know. I'm looking forward to read that book too. Okay. Krishna Ajoy, the handle at Krishna Ajoy, asks, how did you learn the nuances/cinematic language, Tiremoli? By watching films. That would be the short answer of it. But yeah, so this goes back to my answer to the other question. It's like most of my analysis, if you can call it that, comes from watching movies and then thinking about it. So when you watch movies and then at a later time you kind of forget the whole movie, but some of the things just stick in your mind, like a particular scene or a dialogue, and this kind of bothers you, like it asks questions, or you feel that there's more to it than that meets the eye. So that's when I start trying to find more information on it. So Google is my first go-to thing. Then I read some research papers. I talk with friends who are particular experts in that field. If it's psychology, sometimes it's about music, sometimes it's about sound design. I always find a particular expert in that field. If not, then I try to find books or papers or stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I don't read entire books. I don't have that much time to invest in each video essays, but I just go for particular chapters that deals about this, and then I read about it. Then I have a long discussion with a group of people that I trust. See how they feel, see if it's easy for them to understand, if it adds something to their existing knowledge, and that's how the video essays are made. But yeah, so the learning process comes from various sources. It comes from talking with people, it comes from thinking about it, it comes from reading, it comes from even watching other video essays. It comes from various sources, but it always starts with that basic question about a movie. Okay. Brinda Ganeshan at Break BJB asks, what makes a movie special? What do you think as aspects that differentiate a good movie from the mediocre ones? I'm going to take a stab here, and I'm going to guess that Brinda is asking this on a more general scale, like what is a good movie and a bad movie. But to me, a good movie or bad or a mediocre one depends on whether you like it or not. That's it. So if you like it, it's a good movie. I'm not trying to avoid her question here by giving a diplomatic answer, but that is it for me. I've had countless people ask me, what is my favorite movie? They think that, he talks about movie philosophies, he talks about concepts, so he must have this high, taste for movies. And my favorite movie is Gilly. And when I tell that, people usually scoff or they laugh or they don't take me seriously. But it is my favorite movie. I see that I see Gilly as a good movie. It has everything. So yeah, for me it's a good movie. I mean, it did do well in the box office, but no one is comparing Gilly with Godfather, and I'm not too. But for me, Gilly is a good movie. So I would say, if a movie connects with you, if it makes you think, if it affects you in some way, then it's a good movie. And if a particular movie does that for a large group of people, then it's definitely a good movie on a large scale. The reviewers, the critics likes it, the audience like it. Yeah, but some movies, there are some movies that only you might like, and that's still a good movie. So, yeah, Pratip Raj, with the handle at Pratip Talks. Pratip is a good friend of mine. He asks, after Every Frame a Painting's success, we saw mushrooming of YouTube channels doing video essays. And the same happened after Moving Images. Which is your favorite channel which does video essays in Tamil? And what do you see other channels lack? Yeah, I can't definitely. I've been accused of plagiarizing Every Frame a Painting, for which I always say, hey, there's only so many ways you can start a video essay by greeting to your audience saying that, hi, I am so-and-so and welcome to channel. Other than that, I've tried to keep my content original. I don't even go for content that has been already done for a Hollywood film, and I just take that same content or the idea and then apply it for an Indian movie. I don't even do that. I try to make all my ideas really original. The presentation, yeah, I was sort of basing it on Tony and also Nerdwriter and Nostalgia Critic and all those other channels I've been following. And for a beginner, I just took their template. And I feel after almost a year and a half, almost 2 years, I think I've come into my own, made my own template, I hope. So yeah, and Vinod Varadarajan, yeah, he was a big influence too in me. I was having this idea. I was actually writing the script for Talabadi video. That's when I saw his video essay. So it wasn't like I decided to do video essay after I saw his videos. But yeah, I was writing the script. I was already in the process of editing it. And that's when I saw his videos. And I thought, okay, so if this works well, that just gave me the confidence that my whole video essay idea is going to work with the Tamil audience. So thanks to Vinod for giving me that encouragement. With other channels doing video essays in Tamil, I have watched a few, and they're getting there. They're definitely trying to explore different ideas, different concepts. So, but here's what I feel. I'm just being frank here. I've been doing this video essay, and Vinod has almost stopped making video essays, or he does it sporadically. So it feels like I'm the only one who's doing this on a consistently. I try to make a video once every 3 to 4 weeks. That's how long it takes, don't ask. And then there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of effort that goes into this. And that is something I find lacking in the other channels. And let me explain. The effort doesn't translate to talent. Those people definitely have talent for editing, for presentation, all that. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying the idea that they talk about for each films, they don't come across as well-researched or researched deep enough. So I feel that if they put in the extra effort, just a little bit, try to pitch this idea with their peers, and then try to constantly challenge themselves into making newer and better content, then it will be more fun. For me too, because frankly, I'm looking for good competition. That would increase the quality of the entire medium of this whole video essay platform that we have in Tamil. I'm glad that there are a lot of channels that are doing this, but I would still say that if they put in a little bit more effort. So for an example, a friend actually joked that I actually put in a lot of effort even for my thumbnails. And so the thumbnail is the first thing that your audience is going to see. And it needs a lot of effort and thought to be put into it. So I would ask these video essayists to see the kind of effort and try to do more. I'm pretty sure they will. I'm pretty sure they are putting a lot of effort, but I'm just saying just a little bit more. Let's make this, to quote Kamal Hassan, let's make this world class or ulagataram. That's it. That's the only thing I find lacking. It's not the idea. It's not their technical expertise. It's all there. It's definitely there. I just want them to explore more radical ideas, more different ideas, put more effort, put more research into it, rather than giving out their opinions. There are a lot of YouTube channels, reviewers, and all that who give their opinions. These people, they call it our ideology. I would say stay away from your ideology and rather talk about a particular topic, dwell deep into the channel. This I feel like a grown-up here trying to advise to kids. No, I'm not. I'm a novice at this. I've been at this only for less than 2 years, and I'm not calling myself an expert, but it's just that and I'm not talking about this from a YouTuber or a video essayist perspective. I'm talking about this as a normal guy who enjoys video essays. And yeah, you guys have to step it up a little bit so that I can also get excited about exploring new ideas. So you help me out, I help you out. It's that kind of thing. We also got a few questions on my YouTube community page. So yeah, if you didn't know, YouTube gives community access to channels that have more than 10,000 subscribers. What it is I can post. It basically makes YouTube into a social media platform. I can post updates, I can post video, like short clips, I think, or GIF images. I can post polls and all that on my YouTube page. So it's sort of, I'm really bad at social media. I really don't know how to expand my channel using Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm still trying to figure out Instagram. So if you guys can have any bright ideas, I'm open for it. But I feel that YouTube opening up a community tab for channels like mine is it's a godsend. I can directly talk with my audience over there. So if you're subscribed to my channels, also look out for certain updates like that. So yeah, I've got a few questions there too. So one comes from Santosh Mohan, and he asks, the way you see things to compare them with the ideologies is something peculiar because everyone will see movies as just an entertainment, but you're seeing it as a tricky question for which you're finding the answer. My question is, do you really enjoy them while watching? Or the whole movie is just a collection of moving images where you connect dots and find how it originated inside the director's head? That's a good question, and I think I kind of answered it. So what Santosh is trying to ask is, for someone who picks apart every little detail of a movie, do I actually enjoy watching them? I do. Like I said, the first time I watch it, I just watch it. I just enjoy, I try to take in the experience as much as I can. I enjoy watching films in theaters. I try to go to theaters alone or only with company that I trust will let me enjoy the film, but largely alone. And I just like watching films in theaters. I just sit there and I don't think about it. I'm deep in the story. So while I'm recording this, I just came back after watching Sanju, and man, I cried a lot in that movie. And I know it was kind of cheesy, but yeah, I just get invested in those kind of movies. I'm a sucker for that, and I did cry a lot. Granted, it didn't help that there was a really cute girl sitting right next to me, and I don't want to keep on wiping away tears from my cheeks while watching this movie, but I cried. So yeah, that I didn't think about whether this biopic was it being truthful or which we'll get to in a later question. But yeah, the first time I watch it, I just enjoy it, and if I like it, I will watch it a couple of times just for the entertainment value. And then only after that, when I really want to analyze it, that's a different kind of viewing. Okay. Monu IV asks, are you really from South or an NRI? I haven't heard you speaking in Tamil. Okay, a little bit about myself. I am Tamil. Tamil nallave varum. So I was born and raised in Chennai. And then I moved to Kadalur during my high school, and I did my college in Pondicherry, biomedical engineering. And then I moved to the US for my master's and then my PhD. I work now at Cleveland Clinic as a neuroscientist. Yeah, I have a PhD. I'm actually a doctor, scientist doctor. So yeah, but I do speak Tamil. Nallave Tamil varum. So this was not asked in this, but I do get this question a lot, as in why I prefer doing this in English, or why do I do my video essays in English, or why am I doing this podcast in English. Well, so my reason for doing the video essays in English is this. When I wanted to talk about films, there are a lot of film philosophies, film concepts, and all that. Those were all in English, and I felt that it would be best to explain or present them in English, because if I had to do it in Tamil, it would be Tanglish. And I'm pretty sure you have seen a lot of channels do that, and I'm not really a big fan of that, like switching between one language and the other and confusing both. No, it's a disservice to Tamil. I have huge respect for my mother tongue, and I like to keep it that way. So that's why I present those videos in English. But I do realize that not all people would understand the language, and that's why I have subtitles in Tamil for all my videos. If you didn't know, all my videos have Tamil subtitles. And yeah, I have a subtitler who actually helps me with that. Her name is Vaishali, and she helps me translate my script into good Tamil, and she's the one who makes the subtitles. So yeah, that's the reason I make the videos is in English, but I still make it accessible to people who speak Tamil. I wish YouTube had dual audio so that I can do the narration in Tamil, but again, it will be really hard to put my points across in Tamil. Not Tanglish, in Tamil. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this podcast in English, well, before I started recording this, I had a huge conversation with my other friend, Raji. She helps me with all my video essays. She's my audience surrogate, if you will. She tells me if a video essay will work or not. She has that kind of perspective. And so far it has worked, I think. You tell me. And I was having this huge conversation with her, whether I should do it in Tamil or in English. I want this to be a conversation. This is not going to be a presentation. I want this to be open so that people can ask me any question they have. I'm also planning on doing this Q&A after every video I release, so that if you have particular questions about a video, you can ask me. And I just thought, to be consistent, this channel has been producing content in English, and I've also started doing Malayalam movies, and I have a lot of audience who speak Malayalam, so they might not understand if I do it in Tamil. So, and also I want to take the whole idea of Tamil cinemas to a larger audience, if you will. So people who don't necessarily understand Tamil would still be able to see it. Because one thing I noticed was that when I say Indian movies, most people outside of India think Bollywood. I met with Chris Tuckman, a famous YouTube reviewer. He lives very close to where I live in Cleveland. So I met him and I told him that, hey, I have a channel too. I analyze Indian movies. And the first question he was like, Bollywood movies? And I said, no. There are a lot of good regional movies. And when I talked about Mani Ratnam, that's when he recognized the name. And he said, oh yeah, I've heard of that director. He's like, yeah, he's Tamil. So that's the thing. I want to take this to a larger platform, and I think English is a good way to go. Kudos for other channels who do it in Tamil. That's great too. And I am planning on doing some content. It won't be video essays, but some content in the future, maybe in Tamil. But yeah, this podcast is in English just to be consistent, and all the questions were in English. So yeah, but if you guys have a hard time understanding this, or if you prefer the podcast to be, because I'm open with any idea for the podcast. So if you want it to be in Tamil too, let me know. And based on how many people ask, I might even do the podcast in Tamil. But yeah, to answer your question, Tamil, yeah, nallave varum, Tamil da. Okay, I think we are almost done with the questions. Oh wait, I had one more question on my Instagram because the user didn't have a Twitter handle, which is fine. I don't do Twitter that much too. Let me just open up his question real quick. I know I'm a little bit underprepared, but bear with me. Oh, in the meantime, you guys can follow me on my Instagram. I don't post a lot of Instagram posts. I don't know what they're called. But I do post movie quizzes, like fun trivia questions on my story. So on my Instagram stories. So if you're someone who likes that kind of stuff, then I would urge you to start following me on on Instagram. Rahul Manainath, sorry if I butchered your name. So his question in a nutshell is that why do you think our directors think that a biopic should start from the beginning of a character's life and should cover most of his/her life? He just watched Sanju and he thought it was average. No judgments here. And he was comparing it to Danny Boyle's Jobs, the biopic on Steve Jobs. And he felt that Danny Boyle and Aaron Sorkin, king of screenplays and dialogues. I'm pretty sure you have watched some of his films, Aaron Sorkin. But I really liked the series The West Wing. That's Aaron Sorkin at his best. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. So yeah, coming back to the question, he feels that Danny Boyle and Aaron Sorkin did an amazing job capturing 3 important sequences in Steve Jobs' life, and he was wondering why Sanju didn't do it. For which I have to disagree with you there, Rahul, because Sanju was not Sanjay Dutt's story from his birth. If you remember, he actually minor spoiler alert. If you remember, he actually talks about specific chapters of his life. He even names those chapters. The first chapter is God. The second chapter is, I think, the second chapter comes from his friend. And then the third chapter is, coincidentally, a podcast or a radio show. So I think they also concentrated on chapters. And more than that, he also talks about how the Steve Jobs movie was more about the relationship between Steve Jobs and his daughter. And he wishes that Rajkumar Hirani did something like that, for which I have to disagree with you again. Sanju, more than being a story or a biopic about Sanjay Dutt, is more about the relationship between Sanjay and his father, Sunil Dutt. That's the story. It's a father-son story. So I don't know why you feel this way, but the 2 points you made, I have to strongly disagree with them. They're both there. One, the biopic is about various chapters of his life, and two, it is about the father-son relationship. Now, an interesting question that most people have with biopics, and which Rahul did too, especially with the recent one about Savitri and Nadigar Tilagam, and also Sanju, is that why do directors feel the need to glorify the person that they're making the biopic on? Why do they have to glorify? Why do they have to make it so fictional? Or you get the point. I don't have an exact answer for this. I've been thinking about this too. It might come out as a future video essay. No promises. But I feel that these are perceptions. Of course, there is a public image that you want to maintain, and also not all directors are bold enough. You can make all those arguments. Yeah, sure. And those arguments are true. But I also feel that these are not documentaries. They are not actual accounts. They have some cinematic liberty. And also, these are perceptions. If you take Sanju, for example, it's Rajkumar Hirani's, the director's, perception of Sanjay Dutt. And it tells his side of the story, how he sees him. And yeah, it might not be the whole truth, and that's something hard to expect from a biopic. Some directors go the extra mile to humanize their characters, and one good example would be the biopic on Charlie Chaplin by Sir Richard Attenborough, and it had Robert Downey Jr. playing Charlie Chaplin. And I feel that film had a very comedic take on the whole biopic, the whole story of Mr. Chaplin, but it also shows his flaws, how he's a womanizer, and all his little flaws do show through. But then again, they don't dwell deep into that as well. They just project it as it is and then just move on. So that's it. So it's a perception. It's a story from one side, and that's how biopics have been so far. Another interesting question would be on Iruvar, and why or what are the advantages of basing your fictional character on an actual person, not having the same name, not even having the same story, but you're basing them. It's no mystery when you watch the film that this film is about this person, but it's still, I think Mani Ratnam I think he took a gamble, and though it didn't pay off immediately, it paid off eventually. Now it's a cult hit. But I think it's a smart way to go about it. If you're going to present a very fictional account, and if you're going to show the flaws of a person, and if it might not go well with fans of that person in question, then I think this was a smart way to do that, especially for, I would say, a young Tamil audience, like we were back then when the film released, when we weren't exposed to a lot of biopics, and where there was still a craze going on for MGR and Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha and whatnot. So, but now I think we are a little bit open-minded I would like to believe that. I might be wrong. So people are taking risks by actually basing a biopic on the person, not changing names that much. But it's still going to take some time for us to actually present events as they were, show the flaws, humanize the character. I think we are getting there, but we are not there yet. So that's my take on biopics. And that brings us to the end of this Q&A. And before leaving, I would like to leave this question to you guys. Since we talked in length about biopics, what do you think, or what is your favorite biopic? Shout out in the comments below. And also, this is something new. Let me know if you like this content, if you want to keep doing this. I can do more Q&As, or if you particular topics that aren't in a video essay form but in a more relaxed conversation type like this. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your suggestions, and I guess I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.